I grew up in a small town. Wish I was back there today, where people still know how to live the old-fashioned way.
Hi, I'm Larry McFall, here with Jerry Mungle, an artist in his own rights. He's a songwriter, a singer. He's played multiple instruments in his life, and he concentrates on his guitar there now, which he plays country music, writes country music. Quite talented. Glad to have him here. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you.
And we're here at the Rio Dosa Steel Studio, my little home studio here in Huntsville, Alabama. Beautiful day today. Here it's a beautiful day in the land of Dixie. Jerry, tell us a little bit about yourself, about where you're born and raised.
I was born in Hartsville, Tennessee, which is located in Middle Tennessee in Trousdale County. And Trousdale County is the smallest county in the state of Tennessee out of the 95 counties. It's approximately 116 square miles. So I grew up with a small town life in my dad's feed store, and I went there every day after school, stayed there till time to go home and go to bed or study, and was there in the summers when school was out, and waited on customers, interacted with farmers. We played cards, country music, checkers. It was a very enjoyable life growing up in a small town.
Well, it's small town beats the heck out of Huntsville, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Huntsville is about 300,000 now, so I imagine you enjoy going back home quite frequently.
I do.
And was you born in a musical family?
No, I had a half brother. He dabbled a little bit, but he didn't really play the guitar. My mother didn't play anything, and my dad played one song in C on the guitar. I don't remember what it was, and I don't know if he even knew what it was. He didn't have any formal training, and I don't know how he picked it up. But what I got, I had to get the hard way. I was not gifted, and I had to struggle to learn what I did.
When did you get serious about doing your music?
Well, I started playing the guitar probably about 8 or 10 years old. I'd won a talent contest, not any music capability, but I decided after that I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. And later I did enter the talent contest with the guitar. But that first guitar, my dad bought it from Tommy Jones, who was a local merchant there. Mainly had a TV business and sold and repaired TVs. He later became sheriff of the county. But my dad bought this little guitar from him, had cowboys on it, and that was I was around 8 or 10 and sat in the feed store and tried to learn how to play it. And Tommy gave me a notebook, a notebook sheet of chords to show me how to make the chords on the guitar. And you being a guitar player know you got to have calluses, and it's hard to press the string down properly to get the right sound. And so I got very frustrated, and I got so frustrated that I took Tommy's sheet of chords and opened up my dad's potbelly stove and threw them in there. This was back in the 50s, and it was a country feed store with a potbelly stove, and so I did continue though to try to learn how to play the guitar. I would basically sit and watch. People would come in and play the guitar, and there were a lot of people that could walk into his store and play the guitar, and I sat there and would memorize sometimes. And I know one of the first songs I memorized was "I Walk the Line," and I watched the guy. Yeah, well, I was memorizing not the whole song, but the notes that you press for "I Walk the Line," and so it was hard. But I was young, about 8 or 10 years old when I first started, and then I dropped it for a while. And I would say around junior high school, I picked it up again. And then in high school, I got pretty serious about it. We had a band called the Mendels. Kenny Linville was our singer. Vernon Roddy was our drummer, and I played guitar. And then eventually Jackie Carey joined us, and he played rhythm guitar. Mm-hmm. And we played, like Bop Hops. We played a cakewalk. We played a beauty pageant, just about anything. And that continued up until my first or second year of college. We called ourselves the Mendels, and we had a lot of fun acting like we were stars,
Of course. Of course. I've been there, done it.
But then I dropped it for a long time after that. And I'd say 15 or 20 years ago, some friends of ours, we went to Nashville, probably mainly to go to the Grand Ole Opry. And while we were up there, they were having the Nashville Guitar Show. And spontaneously I bought a Martin guitar. And after that, since then, I started sitting around the house and playing the Martin. And back then, I would come up with a melody or chord progression and then put lyrics to it. And I did that a lot, just sitting around the house and picking with my new guitar. And ever since then, I'd say that's been 15 or 20 years ago, that I have been writing songs and playing the guitar and taking it more seriously.
Well, being a songwriter, and obviously you've written quite a few songs, and I know your country music. What kind of country do you consider yourself that you really like writing the best?
Well, the kind of country I like personally to listen to is really the old stuff. The Wabash Cannonball, the Wildwood Flower, Merle Haggard, Johnny Cash, and Porter Wagner, and all the old stuff. But I don't write that way now. I don't write songs like Garth Brooks or Keith Urban would sing, but I'd say just kind of middle of the road country, and that's my favorite music genre. But I write a lot of comedy songs, and I've written a fair amount of gospel songs.
Well, I know just about all your songs has got a good story to them, and I really like them. And how many songs have you written?
I think it's probably somewhere around 80 to 100. I haven't really counted them, and I started keeping up with them in different files on the computer, and I have some in one place that's not in another place, and so I never have taken the time to sit down and go through all the songs and all the different files and then eliminate the duplicates. But I think it's probably around 80 to 100.
80 to 100 songs. I've written a few myself, but I sure don't have the talent you have. And on the CDs, of those 80 to 100 songs, have you made that many CDs from these? How many CDs have you produced where you put songs in that I know you've sold a few? And
I think I've got 19 recorded songs on Reverb Nation. And I may have a few more than that aren't out there, maybe probably around low 20s that have been recorded in the studio. Mm-hmm. So I'd say, by far, around 3/4 or 2/3 have never, or just lyrics that I can sit around and play,
Mm-hmm. Much like all of us that write.
Yeah.
We write more than we produce.
But I produced a hometown CD. I started out.
Now, what's that hometown again?
Hartsville, Tennessee.
Hartsville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Some of the best writers in the world and players come from Tennessee.
Yeah. I started out with just 6 songs, and one of the local announcers up there on the radio station, WTNK, Jerry Richmond, started with that, and he started playing the songs. And I actually wrote one that was tailored to WTNK. It had the call letter, the radio station, in the lyrics. And then I added a couple more, so I did another issue of that hometown CD that had 8 songs on it. And the historical society there is something that I appreciate and I'm a member of, and I gave them like the first 50 to sell that they got $10 a piece for them, so they got $500 for whatever they were going to do.
So you produce much more than you've been telling us. You're a little too shy. One of them shy country boys, huh?
No, but then I started selling them myself, and as Jerry Richmond would play them, sometimes people would say, well, where can I get that?
Sure.
And I had some at the Chamber of Commerce, and they bought a few there. Right now, a real good friend of mine, Kenny Linville, has a store called Linville Supply, and so if anybody needs them now, they're over at his store.
In your hometown.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I've mailed some out, and I don't think I've sold any online. It's been through the radio station or the Chamber of Commerce, or I was up there at a reunion last year.
Mm-hmm. Well, talking about a reunion, I understand that you've got a nice reunion coming up here. Would you like to say something about that?
Yes, I graduated from Trousdale County High School in 1964. So in a few months, we will be, I hope, celebrating our 50-year high school reunion. I don't know what's going on up there. I talked with Kenny today, and he thinks somebody's working on it. But they have an all-year reunion every year, and I've been going to that for the last 3 or 4 years or whatever, and so this is the big one.
I guess so. I did mine a few years ago, and it is something we're not going to be around for much longer, so we've got to enjoy it while we can, don't we?
Yeah. So each year somebody's having their 50-year reunion, and so this year is ours.
Well, if somebody right now saw this video, would like to purchase, and you guys will be surprised when you hear some of the stories he comes up with in music. Great talent, great music. I love it. Do you have somewhere we can put on the screen where they can purchase that music and the cost of it, and all the information for them to get a copy of your music?
Yes. They could request it through email at jerry@jerrymungle.com.
Okay, we'll put this on the screen so you can see it.
They can always call me at 256-508-1483, or they can go by the store up there, Linville Supply, and or Jerry Richmond usually refers them to somebody or to me or whatever. Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting referrals I got was Wilna Marshall, who was my speech teacher. Now, it wasn't a part of the regular curriculum, but I was in elementary school, and I guess my mother or somebody wanted me to take speech lessons, and so I did in elementary school. Well, she heard one or more of my songs on this radio station, and I forget how many she bought, but she's in Kentucky now. Mm-hmm. And she's obviously older than me. Think about your teacher.
Oh yeah.
Hearing this, and you are 68, So, and I saw her at the reunion after that, and sent hers to Kentucky. I had last year at the reunion. I didn't know it, but the guy in charge of the reunion went to announce the reunion on the radio station, and while he was there, Jerry played one of my songs. So when I walked in the next day at the reunion, he said, well, I'm going to play one of your songs today. And I had no idea. He had just heard it over there when he was advertising the reunion. And then Jerry Richmond convinced him to play a second song, a football song. Trousdale County is a great high school football town and school.
Well, you played a little football yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did. I played for one of the best men and best coaches I've ever known, I think, and Jim Satterfield. And
well, you're going to be anxious to get back now. Is Jim still alive?
No, his son took over and coached 24 years. Mm-hmm. But his dad, and my coach is dead now, and now they have Kevin Creasy that replaced Coach Satterfield, Coach Satterfield's son, Clint.
Well, Jerry, getting on with the program here, I was wondering, is there a possibility we could give them a little sample and see what you look like with the guitar under your arm? Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
I know we don't have the full band here, but maybe just pick out a couple things, and then what we'll do is we'll actually play them with your band and everything behind you. Huh?
My guitar pick and stuff.
Need your guitar pick? What we'll do is we'll break right here, folks, and Jerry can get set up and play you a little sample of something.
Every morning when I get up, after I've had that first cup, come rain, sleet, hail or snow, out to the front porch is where I go. I take a deep breath of that fresh southern air, then I sit down in my rocking chair. There's no place in the world where I'd rather be than rocking on my front porch in the hills of Tennessee. You can say I'm old and crazy, but I don't care. I'm gonna keep on rocking in this old rocking chair. I don't care whether it's cold or hot, I just wanna sit on my front porch and rock.
Jerry, that was a pretty good song you played there. What was the name of that?
Rocking chair song.
The rocking chair song. And one of the things I was wanting to ask you, I understood that you'd had the privilege of playing with some pretty popular, famous people. Tell me about that.
Well, I've played with some people and met some people at the store. When I was probably 10 or 12 years old, there was a salesman that sold Kerry salt to my dad for his feed store, and he kept telling us that his neighbor was Furlan Husky. And, you know, I guess I didn't know whether he was just popping off or what, but one Saturday he brought him up and went bird hunting. And people really gathered around the store. I had an electric guitar, and he played my guitar and did a Lum and Abner presentation or whatever you call it, routine or whatever you call it. And my dad was a big hunter, and one of the game wardens had been the lead guitar picker for Grandpa Jones. And he is one of the best guitar pickers I've ever seen that came into the feed store. And he was really good. And I have, while traveling out in Oregon, I met Jimmy Dickens. Didn't play with him, but met him. But the people most recently that I've played with that I'm impressed about is I met two of the Rainbow Ranch boys that played with Hank Snow on the road in the Grand Ole Opry, and they are really good. Caton Roberts is a steel guitar player, played the Opry many, many times. He's in the International Steel Guitar Players Hall of Fame. And I think you've seen him. He is really...
Yeah, being a steel guitar player myself, I'm interested in Caton's and meeting him myself.
Yeah, we're going to go up there and see him someday. And the bass player in that same group with Hank Snow was Roger Carroll. Mm-hmm. And he's really good. And so the way I met them, though, Patsy Trigg, who played on the Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, done by Elmo and Patsy. Well, Elmo was her husband at the time, and I met her at the Coffee Tree. And she
Here
did...
in Huntsville?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And she did several shows with Earl Watts and me. We called ourselves Two Old Men and Some Songs. And we were playing in Tennessee one time, and some people saw us, and she was the main attraction, and they wanted to get her to go to Nashville to the president of the Grand Ole Opry fan club, and at something he has every month down there. But she, instead of just taking the stardom all her own, she basically told them to go through us because she was playing with us that night. And so we got invited to play at the president of the Grand Ole Opry fan club's house at the Country 101, only because of her stardom. They wouldn't have invited us, I don't think, without her, but as it turned out, I don't know if you remember, it was 2 or 3 years ago, we had a huge snow. And Patsy lives in Fayetteville, Tennessee, and was afraid to go. So we went, and it just so happened that Caton and Roger were there playing that day. And a lady who played with Roy Acuff, for 5 years was also there. And she is still good, and she's still drawing royalties on, she did the song, If You Got the Money, Honey, I Got the Time, and she was playing in the back, singing in the background on that, and another popular one, I think. And so I got to meet these people, and now Caton and Roger, sometimes we play together. We played at a nursing home in Lebanon, and we've played it here in Huntsville, and we'll probably be playing some more in the future. And you and I hopefully will be going up there before long. He's just a phenomenal steel guitar player, phenomenal person. And
I'm anxious to meet him. But I listened and seen Hank Snow years ago. Of course, my time extends back to Frankfort, Indiana, at Shady Acres back in the late 40s when Hank was out. I don't think Caton was playing with him.
No, he wasn't with him
then, but I was playing a little bit of steel guitar as a little boy then. But Coffee Tree, I played down at the Coffee Tree too, but I don't guess I played as long as you did.
Well, it was special shows. What we did after I met them, Earl and I met them up in Nashville at the Country 101 fan club thing. And so some of us down here would invite them down, and we'd kind of underwrite their shows. And we just enjoyed them so much, and they put on a real show. Now, it's Roger Carroll on the bass and Caton on steel guitar. But the guy who's the singer, it does a great job and performs with Marty Stewart sometimes. I think he's been on his show, is Rob McNearl.
Yeah, I've heard Rob. And him and Caton seem to have put on a good show.
Oh, they do.
They do indeed. And one of the things we're going to do here is you're wanting to kind of lean toward your 50th coming up, your 50th high school reunion. And you've got a song that you like, and what is the name of that song you're wanting to put some pictures with it?
Yeah, the complete, sometimes I shorten it so it'll fit on a CD or something. The complete title would be, In My Mind I'm Going Back to Hartsville, Tennessee.
Okay, that ought to be interesting. I think you people will really be interested in watching this. And the whole sequence of going through Hartsville, Tennessee with Jerry Mungle. Well, thank you, Jerry, and I think we're going to have a good time when we go up there, back up to Nashville, and do some music. And, and stuff. And I'll have to probably drag that big old steel guitar, and you can drag that acoustic. And
yeah, it'll be worth it when you play with Kate.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're good, but you'll enjoy playing
Nashville, Tennessee. Old country stars are out. Young and pretty stars are in. They're not looking for another Porter Wagoner again. I play my radio, hoping to hear some George Jones. But because he's old country, they don't want to play his songs. They'd rather play the latest hits of Carrie Underwood. She's young and pretty, she's singing mighty good. If you want to hear Jimmy Dickens and Patsy Cline too, tell them up in Nashville what you want them to do. What's wrong with country music the way it used to be before they started changing it up in Nashville, Tennessee? What's wrong with the fiddle and the banjo, upright bass and mandolin? We need more country music the way it used to be again.